right, let's move on to the Seahawks. Sorry for skipping you. It won't happen again. Let's get into the questions. What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson this year, and where do you have him ranked?
I think it's the first time in a long time I have him outside the top 5. I have him at 6.
I actually have him at 7, so I'm right there with you, but it's slightly lower.
He started off so high last year. He was probably the MVP if the season ended after like week 6. He was MVP. First 8 games, he only scored 25 or fewer once. After that, he only had 1 game over 24. Still finished the top 12 quarterback. I mean, it's not hard to believe because it's Russell Wilson, but there was something not as exciting as there was. I feel like after that game where DK Metcalf ran down Buda Baker, like they lost that game in overtime, and like everything just seemed to go downhill.
Yeah, that's when DK said defenses were predicting what the plays were going to happen. Like they knew what was going on. So hopefully they got that changed this year. I like Russell Wilson again, obviously. I got him at QB7. He obviously has top 5 potential. You can't say he doesn't. But the inconsistencies over the past few years, like he used to be the guy where he would start off slow and then finish strong. But then last year, he was the guy that started off strong and finished slow. So there's always games where Russell Wilson kind of disappears, like portions of the season. And I think that just drops him a little bit in my ranks. But overall, he's still a solid quarterback to grab.
It's always against teams. Like last year, he played against Dallas, and he did absolutely. I don't think he did too well. He was like QB1 ranked that week, and always against the Rams because they lock up DK. Divisional games seem to be hard for him also.
Yeah. And they're also people that they're still a team that wants to run the ball a lot. Obviously, their defense hasn't really let them do that over last season, over the last couple. Like when they were the Legion of Boom, though, like that was really their go-to is run the ball. So if their defense is any better, that hurts Russ as well.
Except for the Super Bowl, they didn't run the ball.
Yeah, except for on the 1 yard line when they should have. All right. Next question. Is Gerald Everett worth a draft pick? New tight end acquired from the Rams, also in this division. And if he is a target for you, if he's worth a draft pick, what do you think his ceiling is this season?
I do want to say it, but I don't.
Definitely worth the draft pick, but I would not take him as my first tight end, just because of the uncertainty at the tight end position in Seattle. I mean, we saw flashes of Jimmy Graham when he was there, but it was really like never an elite season like we were used to seeing from Jimmy Graham. I feel like Sean said the Seahawks are a run first team, and when they're passing the ball, they're not looking for the tight end. I mean, they've Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf for a reason, but I mean, I don't know. This is his time to shine. He's not there in LA with Tyler Higbee anymore, so he's on his lonesome. So I like to see what he could do, but I would not draft him as my sole tight end.
I feel like he fits this team being like a hybrid, small, quick tight end. I feel like Greg Olsen did okay before he had gotten hurt, but he's being drafted after like Jared Cook, who I take over, Jonnu Smith and Anthony Firk. So I think Everett is a lot better than all of those guys. And I mean, I don't know who their second tight end is, but
I don't think it matters.
It's Will Dissly. So actually, he has had some value in the past, but he can't stay healthy either. So, yeah, I think Gerald Everett's a good pick. I think his ceiling is top 10-ish, top 12-ish, like a low-end tight end one. Like he could sneak into the top 5 because anybody can in tight end. We saw Robert Tonyan do it last year. As long as they're catching tight ends. I mean, as long as they're catching touchdowns, they can't catch themselves. But yeah, I like Gerald Everett. I think he's worth a shot. Definitely draft him as your tight end too, probably because of his ADP. You don't have to reach, but he's worth a pick for sure. So we all know the core players on this team are Carson, Metcalf, and Lockett. Is there anyone else we may see break out this year? They have Swain, Eskridge, Rashad Penny, DJ Dallas. Who do you like here?
The guy we were just talking about.
Gerald Everett?
Guys, I have to make an emergency. I have to run downstairs real quick to let someone in the house.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, Jordy's coming over.
Sneaky link.
Get my
smiling.
Like, no. Go ahead, Q. Do your thing, player.
Yeah. I kind of like Dwayne Eskridge as like obviously a way late on flyer. Like you can leave him on waivers, just put him on your watch list as a third wide receiver in this offense. Tyler Lockett's been hit or miss over the past couple of years. I wouldn't be shocked if someone's able to step up. But yeah, outside of those few core guys, you're kind of throwing darts aside from Gerald Everett. I think he's worth the pick.
Is Eskridge a rookie?
Yes.
Okay. No idea who that is.
His ADP is like free, like super free, like 110th wide receiver off the board or something crazy.
Jesus.
So he's a dynasty guy more than a redraft guy, but he's worth just keeping an eye on just in case. Sometimes that third wide receiver has some relevancy. We've seen David Moore in the past and like random guys. So
also when I slide in and just scream David Moore.
Shut up.
I don't think he's on that team.
David Moore. No, he's on the
Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah. They got both D Moores.
Any D Moores squad. All right, let's get into some cap or no cap with Q back. Starting off with DK Metcalf has the potential to be the #1 wide receiver in fantasy this season. Cap or no cap?
Cat.
Technically,
Cat.
no cap. Because he has the potential. He can finish top. I mean, be the first overall.
Why couldn't he, T-Gods? Why can't he
because
finish?
Devontae Adams and D-Hop and Tyreek, they all exist.
They do exist. They do exist.
Do you know who DK is? He was in his second season last year.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back into this year, he got out-targeted by Tyler Lockett last year. Mm-hmm. I think that whole script changes. Mm-hmm. I think DK eats up like at least, I want to say like 40% of targets on this team.
That's a lot. That's a high target share, bro. I think that's more than possible.
But see,
7th in the league in drops,
I didn't know
what
number to say. But
probably like 25% would be good.
Like he does, easily. He has the potential to be #1, but Diggs, like you got to think about the guys that are ahead of him. Who's competing with Diggs for targets, really? Who's competing with D-Hop, Tyreek Hill, Michael Thomas, maybe? Yeah, Devontae Adams.
Keenan.
Keenan.
Who's competing with Keenan, too?
Potential.
No, but these guys are so, like, I don't know. I just think DK is not finishing #1. I loved him last year, and then he just had this bad drop issue where you saw the flaws in him. So
7th in the league in drops.
He could fix that.
Maybe #1 in the league in drops. He could finish.
Oh,
that'd be hard to fight Deontay Johnson.
Not with Deontay Johnson in the league, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no cap. I think he has the potential to, but I don't foresee it happening. I'm with you guys. Like I think it's a rare chance, but it is a chance. He was #1 through like 6 weeks last year or something like that.
Yeah,
him and Lockett were actually both like top 5, like going back and forth, while Russ was cooking. But like I said, this team's up and down, so I don't think it happens. But I gotta say no cap. There's still a chance. All right, Tyler Lockett is too inconsistent to be a wide receiver 1 and should be considered a low end wide receiver 2 this year. Cap or no cap?
This is the lowest of caps of all time.
I think last year we would come into this season thinking that he'd be a wide receiver 1 because I mean he's shown that he can be, but way too inconsistent. He had over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, and a majority came in like 3 games. But he's too boomer bust to rely on as a wide receiver 1.
Piggybacking off of Q, he had 7+ catches in 5 games last year. Those are the only games where he had 20+ fantasy points. And in those other games, he averaged 9 points per game.
Yeah, less than 10. He had a lot of duds last year. Like he's like the definition of inconsistent, which scares me a lot.
A wide receiver 1 does not average 9 points per game over 11 games throughout the season.
Yeah, he's a perfect best ball guy for sure, if anyone plays best ball. But yeah, I'd rather consider him a low end wide receiver 2, maybe mid wide receiver 2, maybe towards the high end. Like he obviously still has potential to be a wide receiver 1 if he's getting that volume, but it was too inconsistent for me last year. So I'm going to say no cap, too inconsistent.
Just lock him in for the games they play the Rams, because for some reason Jalen Ramsey's always locking down DK. So you just have Tyler Lockett on the other side. And I think one of his big games came against the Rams. May have.
I wouldn't doubt it.
53-pointer.
Yeah, he had 53 points. That was against Arizona. 37 was at Dallas.
And
against the Rams, he had 11 and
41.
7.
Didn't he have like a 41-point game too?
Nah, 37, 33, 53 in like regular PPR.
You wish that you can spread that out a long couple games.
Yeah. And then a couple other solid games, and then a lot of scary bad games. All right. last cap or no cap here. Chris Carson is being underdrafted as running back 19, 36th overall. Cap or no cap?
Cap.
No cap.
I thought you loved Chris Carson.
Wait, Chris Carson's being undrafted. Yes, no cap. He's being
no cap.
underdrafted.
Sorry, no cap.
I think
I'm going to say cap.
you think about the injuries. It's obviously an issue. He hasn't played a 16 game season since he's been in the league. But
now he has to play 17.
Yeah, well, this will be a first time. But he's gonna get tons of volume. They brought him back because they know that he's that good, and there isn't much competition with Rashad Penny, Travis Homer. Like, they want him to be the guy he can catch.
Dallas.
Yeah, he can catch the ball. He can run the ball. As long as he's healthy, and that's all it is. And that's why his ADP is so low. But he can finish top 15. He has before.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying cap. I think just the injury history is why I have him there. I'd rather draft a guy like J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders. I'd rather draft some of these younger guys that have a little bit healthier history rather than Chris Carson. I have Chris Carson at RB 18 in my ranks compared to his ADP of RB 19. So I have him slightly above. So I guess you could say no cap, but
technical Sean.
He's being drafted right around that spot where I would take him, and where you're taking him there. If he is healthy for the whole season, you're getting a ton of value. I like Carson. I'm just a little bit scared.
And he did say from RB 12 to 19 or 20, they could all be interchangeable. You can get Carson being the 12th best.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's right in that tier of like RB2s where you're very happy.
Yeah.
I just have him a little bit lower in that tier personally. All right, let's get into our bold takes, favorite targets. Q, start us off. What do you got?
If we started with the first, like if I went first for the last team, these just like the transitions would be so well. For some reason, the last take always goes with my take, but Chris Carson is my favorite target coming into this draft. You may not be able to rely on him as the RB1 currently, but he is a solid RB2 with potential to crack top 10 each week. Obviously, you want him to be healthy. They upgraded the offensive line, and I said it earlier, he doesn't have much competition with Rashad Penny. They had Carlos Hyde last year. He didn't really do much unless Chris Carson was out, but they relied on him heavily, and they're up in many games, I think. So you'll see him on the field most of the time.
Yeah, he's a good pass catcher too. Yeah, as long as he's healthy, definitely draft him. I'm not saying don't draft Chris Carson. So I'm with you, Q. Target him. All right, you guys, what do you got?
All right. Tyler Lockett will finish inside the top 20 again. Why are you making that face, Matt?
Yeah,
Why
Matt.
are you making that face?
Yeah, Matt.
I don't like it.
It must be a Tyler thing.
All right. Well, he played 6 years in the NFL, missed 1 game ever. Dummy sturdy.
Dummy sturdy.
Is he not? I mean, that's pretty sturdy if you ask me.
That is pretty sturdy.
All right. We're going back to 2019. He finished wide receiver 13, just 41 points behind the wide receiver 2. 41 points away, and he'd be wide receiver 2. Like, he's good. 2020, finished wide receiver 8, 132 targets, 100 receptions, 1,054 yards, 10 touchdowns. He averaged 10.5 yards per catch. That's 2 points in PPR for every time he touched the ball. It was at least 2 points. And he's coming back to the same team, same great quarterback. No new competition that's like any good. I don't see any reason that he shouldn't be inside the top 20.
I respect it.
Hate it.
I think I'm going to go next and just go right on the opposite here. Tyler Lockett will finish outside the top 20 wide receivers. I just think he's going to be more of a flex option this year. I like where T. Gods is coming from. Like, he obviously has shown over the last few years that he's been a consistent top 20 guy. But I think over the last year or so, we've seen how inconsistent that can be and how frustrating that can be as a fantasy manager. He may finish inside the top 20. I know I'm saying he's going to finish outside the top 20, but more of like I'm drafting him outside the top 20 just because I don't want to deal with the headache of wondering if I'm going to get the best wide receiver in the league, Tyler Lockett, or Jalen Reagor, Tyler Lockett. Which Tyler Lockett are we getting here? So I think DK Metcalf's the number one on this team. They also, obviously, we mentioned Gerald Everett's also pretty interesting. I don't think he's going to take too much away from Lockett, though. But his volume just wasn't consistent enough. When he wasn't getting like more than 5 targets or so, he was struggling. So outside the top 20, I think I could see him finishing outside of there, if not lower end wide receiver 2 for me. More of a flex option this year.
I
Personally.
could dig it.
But you can agree with me, or you can agree with T-Gods. Pick your poison. Matt, what do
I
you got
agree
for
with
us?
Sean.
I
I agree
care.
with Sean.
I don't care, man.
What matters is what the viewers think.
That's true. But my bold take, it's not very bold, but Russ will finish as a top 5 quarterback again. I mean, he's still very mobile, even at his old age. Father Time really hasn't caught up to him, at least not yet. So hopefully it's not this year, or else I'll look like an idiot. But last year he averaged, I believe, like 5 or 6 carries a game, averaged over 30 yards a game. So that's an extra 3 points added on to your quarterback. And there's not many quarterbacks out there doing that aside from like Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, maybe Josh Allen. But other than that, I don't really see any quarterbacks getting that amount of carries and averaging that rush yardage per game. And he has all the weapons around him to do it. I feel like Chris Carson being back healthy to start the season is going to be good for him. Hopefully he can stay healthy because that will help him tremendously in the passing game. And I just don't see any signs of Russell Wilson slowing down this year.
We almost didn't even see Russell Wilson on the Seahawks this year.
I know,
Could've
that
been
was
on the-
scary.
Almost on the Cowboys.
They didn't
That's
help
what it
that
sounded
O-line much. So it's going to be a pretty similar season. But we shall see. But Russ definitely has top 5 potential. I don't hate it at all.